Picture this. You're a bank executive sitting in a London boardroom, shaking hands with the governor of Nigeria's central bank. He's just offered you a $10 million commission to invest in Africa's most ambitious airport project. The blueprints are flawless, the contracts are official, and the opportunity seems too good to be true. Because it was. What you're about to hear is the most audacious financial con in history. How one man convinced the world's banks to invest $242 million in an airport that existed only in his imagination. And the mastermind behind it? A former bank director who turned deception into an art form. This is the unbelievable true story of Emmanuel Nwude and the fake airport that fooled everyone. Emmanuel wasn't born into wealth. Growing up in Lagos, Nigeria, between 1950 and 1955, he witnessed extreme poverty firsthand. But unlike others who accepted their circumstances, Emmanuel possessed something dangerous: brilliant intelligence combined with ruthless ambition. His pathway out of poverty led through Nigeria's banking sector, where his sharp intellect and magnetic charisma quickly caught attention. Through calculated moves and strategic networking, he climbed from entry-level positions to become director of Union Bank of Nigeria, one of the country's most prestigious financial institutions. But here's the thing about brilliant criminals: legitimate success is never enough. Emmanuel had tasted power, but he hungered for the kind of wealth that could reshape reality itself. And in the early 1990s, the perfect opportunity presented itself. In 1991, Nigeria declared Abuja its new capital, triggering an unprecedented infrastructure explosion. The government prioritized massive development projects, with a world-class international airport topping their list. Foreign investment was desperately needed, and banks worldwide were actively seeking profitable opportunities in emerging markets. Emmanuel saw the perfect convergence: desperate need, available money, and information asymmetry. In an era before the internet made verification simple, international banking relied heavily on official documentation and personal relationships. This wasn't just an opportunity, it was a masterclass setup for the heist of the century. Emmanuel understood that audacious crimes require extraordinary execution. He hand-selected 5 accomplices, each chosen for specific expertise: banking operations, document forgery, international finance, and psychological manipulation. Every member had deep connections within Nigeria's financial sector and intimate knowledge of international banking protocols. Their plan was breathtakingly simple: create a completely fictional airport development project, impersonate high-ranking government officials, and convince international banks to invest hundreds of millions in pure fantasy. But simplicity and execution are completely different animals. The operation began with meticulously crafted faxes sent to banks across 6 continents. These weren't amateur scam letters, they were professionally formatted official communications from Touristia William, a fictional executive in Nigeria's Ministry of Aviation Financial Planning Department. The faxes announced Nigeria's intention to develop a major international airport in Abuja, complete with detailed project timelines, investment requirements, and profit projections. Every document bore official seals, reference numbers, and bureaucratic language that screamed authenticity. Then they waited. When Banco Noroest's executive Nelson Sakaguchi responded with genuine interest, Emmanuel knew he'd found his mark. Nelson wasn't just any banker, he was a seasoned professional managing one of Brazil's largest financial institutions, actively seeking international investment opportunities. Emmanuel's first phone call to Nelson was a masterpiece of psychological manipulation. Speaking as Paulo Guma, governor of Nigeria's central bank, he combined authoritative confidence with carefully calculated humility, emphasizing the project's confidentiality and exclusive nature. The psychological trap was perfect. Nelson felt chosen for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, while being sworn to secrecy that prevented him from seeking verification. The London meeting wasn't just a business discussion, it was a carefully orchestrated performance. Emmanuel's team arrived in character. Governor, deputy governor, aviation director, each with rehearsed backstories and prepared responses to every conceivable question. They sent a limousine to collect Nelson from the airport and accommodated him in a luxury 5-star suite, all funded by previous smaller cons they'd executed. Every detail reinforced the illusion of legitimate government officials conducting official business. During the meeting, they presented professionally bound business proposals, architectural blueprints, environmental impact studies, and financial projections spanning decades. Nelson examined every document, asked probing questions, and received satisfying answers to each concern. The psychological pressure was expertly applied. Emmanuel mentioned numerous other investors, waiting in line, creating artificial scarcity. When Nelson expressed concerns about his bank's approval process, Emmanuel offered to work with other investors instead, but sweetened the deal with a personal $10 million commission. That commission was the kill shot. Nelson shook hands on a $242 million investment, What happened next demonstrates the operation's sophistication. Instead of demanding immediate full payment, Emmanuel requested only a $3 million good faith deposit, then structured the remaining transfers across 3 years, 1995 to 1998. This wasn't impatience, it was genius. The extended timeline allowed Emmanuel's team to maintain the illusion through regular progress reports, fake construction updates, and fabricated business acquisitions. Nelson received detailed documentation for every expenditure: construction equipment purchases, engineering consultations, government permits. Meanwhile, the $242 million was being laundered through 17 banks across multiple countries, converted into real estate investments, stock portfolios, and legitimate business ventures. Emmanuel wasn't just stealing money, he was building a financial empire. In 1998, Banco Noroeste faced acquisition by Spain's largest bank for $500 million. During due diligence, director Jaime Lopez discovered a terrifying problem. Nearly 1/3 of the bank's capital had simply vanished from their books. Every trail led to Nelson Sakaguchi. When confronted, Nelson initially claimed gambling losses, but eventually confessed to the airport investment. The board's reaction was explosive. They'd been unknowingly funding an elaborate fantasy for 3 years, while their institution hemorrhaged money. The confession triggered one of history's largest international fraud investigations. Nigerian banks initially refused cooperation, but Western pressure eventually forced their compliance. Account records revealed the conspiracy's scope. Emmanuel's network had created an entirely parallel banking system to process stolen funds. However, Nigeria's weak financial crime laws meant Emmanuel remained free despite being exposed. Meanwhile, Nelson faced money laundering charges and imprisonment, while bank owners desperately sought asset recovery. The cruel irony? Most stolen funds were invested in legitimate assets, making recovery nearly impossible. Everything changed in 2003 when Nigeria established its Financial Crimes Commission under new presidential leadership. Emmanuel's decade of freedom ended abruptly with his arrest in 2004, along with 4 accomplices. But remember, they started with 6 team members. The 6th mysteriously died in a car accident during the investigation. Coincidence? Many believe Emmanuel ordered the assassination to prevent testimony, though this remains unproven. Even facing 25-year sentences, Emmanuel refused surrender. He systematically attempted bribing officials and jury members, forcing the trial's relocation when corruption became too obvious. His backup plan involved a fake bomb threat to create escape opportunities during courtroom evacuation. When everything failed, Emmanuel tried negotiating reduced sentences by offering to return stolen funds. His initial offer? A laughable $10 million of the $242 million stolen. Officials demanded $80 million minimum. The trial's turning point came when prosecutors called a surprise witness, Nelson Sakaguchi himself. In devastating testimony, Nelson detailed every aspect of Emmanuel's impersonation, document forgery, and psychological manipulation. Facing overwhelming evidence, Emmanuel finally agreed to return $120 million plus a $10 million fine to Nigeria's government, receiving a 25-year sentence in exchange. True to form, Emmanuel served less than 2 years through strategic bribery before securing release. He then recovered approximately $50 million from hidden real estate investments, essentially retiring with a massive fortune after executing one of history's greatest financial crimes. Emmanuel's story should have ended there, but in 2016 he faced murder charges following a land dispute. He allegedly sent 200 people to attack a neighboring town, resulting in police officer shootings and a security guard's death. As of today, Emmanuel remains in custody, awaiting trial. But given his history of bribery and escape, many wonder how long his current imprisonment will last. Emmanuel Nwude's story reveals disturbing realities about international finance, corruption, and justice. He exploited legitimate needs, infrastructure development, preyed on reasonable investment desires, and manipulated systemic weaknesses in international banking verification. Most disturbingly, he essentially won. Despite imprisonment, trials, and international prosecution, Emmanuel retained massive wealth, lived luxuriously for years, and demonstrated that sufficiently sophisticated financial crimes can be incredibly profitable. His legacy isn't just the $242 million he stole. It's proof that with enough intelligence, charisma, and audacity, even the most impossible cons can succeed on unimaginable scales. The airport Emmanuel sold never existed anywhere except in his imagination. But the money? That was devastatingly real. What do you think about this case? Should financial crimes carry harsher penalties? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible true crime stories.